Hey everybody, Matty here with Altcoin Buzz. Happy Saturday, happy weekend. Hope you're having a great one. We're discussing all things DeFi today, including Brian Armstrong, who has some harsh words for Apple and iOS specifically. They're not allowing a lot of the Coinbase functionality that Brian Armstrong feels would be perfect right now, especially in times of a recession when people can earn extra money. We'll be taking a look how the total value locked metric in DeFi is actually totally crooked and how it's not accurate. We're then talking about crypto.com. They are the latest to launch a new decentralized finance exchange. Specifically, it is a fork of Uniswap. We'll take a look at that in more detail. Tron has partnered with 1inch. They're also aiming to expand their DeFi ecosystem. Binance is introducing a $1 million pool for decentralized finance for so-called high-quality projects. And finally, Ethereum-based tokens that are in the DeFi space have unfortunately averaged about a 50% loss in September. We'll take a look at this list here, which highlights the winners and the losers. Unfortunately, the snapshot right now is that on average, there are more losers than winners, but you know, these metrics are quick moving, they're dynamic, and they'll change eventually. So guys, if you like this kind of content, Bitcoin, blockchain, and cryptocurrency, then be sure to like and subscribe. Let's start with a look at the markets today on CoinGecko.com. As you can see, we're up a little bit, up 1.6%, up to $344.5 billion. Projects generally up or so in that range, more or less, with a couple of exceptions here in the top 10. Polkadot up 5.8%, a strong 24 hours for DOT. Binance Coin up 16.4%. They think a lot of enthusiasm behind some of the initiatives that Binance is launching that is being reflected here in the price of their token, the BNB token. Bitcoin itself up 0.6% in these last 24 hours, $10,327 with a dominance of 55.4%. Okay, Brian Armstrong here is the CEO of Coinbase, and he is sounding off pretty harshly against Apple. I'll quote him here with his tweet. Here is the issue. Apple has told us we cannot add the following functionality in our iOS apps. Number one, we cannot add the ability to earn money using cryptocurrency. And number two, the ability to access decentralized finance apps, something called DeFi apps or dApps. And the question therefore becomes, why would Apple want to prevent people from earning money during a recession? They seem to not be okay with it if it uses cryptocurrency. I'm not sure why. This is what our Coinbase Earn product does. And you guys may remember so many of these Apple marketing campaigns always about thinking different, always being about the trailblazer and experimenting and coming up with new ideas. Apple is as corporate as it gets. Don't get me started on a rant against Apple. I can't stand them as a company. And Brian Armstrong here is really, I think, aptly pointing out the hypocrisy, the difference between their so-called marketing philosophies, which is just ridiculously false, and the way they act in real life. He continues, we sometimes end up in bizarre negotiations with them, modifying the product and asking users to jump through hoops, do a task on mobile, then do the web to claim your reward, to comply with their guidelines. This creates a worse experience for Apple and Coinbase customers. DeFi and dApps are a major area of innovation in financial services that has seen rapid growth lately. They let people access global credit market to get a loan or earn interest, for instance. And there are many unbanked and underbanked people in the world who have no ability to loan or to buy a home or start a business. So this kind of technology has enormous potential to improve the world over time, even if it is still early days right now. So why is Apple making it more difficult? Again, more difficult for iOS customers to use DeFi apps. They've told us, quote, your app offers cryptocurrency transactions in non-embedded software within the app, which is not appropriate for the App Store. Again, why? Is that not thinking differently? dApps or DeFi apps are fundamentally just websites you can access through any browser. So Apple is essentially saying you can't provide users with a list of websites they can visit through an app. Apple has a conflict of interest in applying these App Store restrictions. While they are ostensibly designed to protect customers, it increasingly looks like they are also protecting Apple from competition. And that is absolutely the point that we are trying to get to here. Apple, in their rather arbitrary rules here, I think some of those rules do apply to some of the less savory applications out there in the space, some of which may legitimately be harmful to the users, the iOS users out there. That's fair. I understand the spirit of why these rules exist. But at this point, I mean, it's just a caricature of itself. This is ridiculous. And as Brian points out, that's exactly what they're trying to do at this point. They're trying to reduce the risk or the likelihood of a competitor ultimately or competition being successful in this space against them. Apple, it's time to stop stifling innovation in cryptocurrency. We would like to work with you productively on this. Someday, cryptocurrency would even be integrated into IAP to give people in emerging markets better access to the financial system globally. Remember that a small group of enthusiasts and misfits at the Homebrew Computer Club who saw a glimpse of the future in the Apple II. Big ideas sometimes start off looking like toys. Well said. Brian Armstrong continues here, but that's where we'll leave it. What do you guys think about this exchange? Whose side are you on? Do you kind of see Apple's point of view? Do you take Brian's side? I think I've projected the fact that I take Brian's side in this matter. Don't get me started on Apple, guys. I'm not a big fan. Think different. Used to be perhaps in the early days the way that they went about their business and their corporate philosophy, but it is no longer the case, if you ask me. However, that's just my opinion. Let me know what yours is in the comments below. Okay, guys, we're now talking about the DeFi total value locked metric. Now, it's not exactly accurate for a couple of different reasons. So this total value locked metric, unfortunately, doesn't necessarily account for double counting, which is a problem in the space, and it doesn't always necessarily take into account the governance of specific tokens. That's more of a project by project issue, but it's not as accurate as we may think. Here's how DeFi Pulse unpacks what total value locked in actually means. DeFi Pulse monitors each protocol's underlying smart contracts on the Ethereum blockchain. Every hour we refresh our charts by pulling the total balance of Ether and ERC20 tokens held by these smart contracts. TVL is calculated by taking these balances and multiplying them by their price in US dollars. Well, it may sound simple enough, but different problems can still emerge. For example, double counting. Effectively, if a user deposits some ETH in DAppX, gets X ETH token back, and goes to deposit X ETH in DAppY, both X and Y will have his or her Ethereum count towards their TVL, their total value locked. Yet the user only deposited to one amount of Ethereum. And this can be a problem when we consider some of these numbers. They've been rising just meteorically. You may recall that we were at about $1 billion in total locked DeFi assets. And this is a problem when you consider the trajectory of the numbers. We've been rising so meteorically in the DeFi space. Rewind just to June and we were sitting at about $1 billion in total value locked. Well, now you fast forward just a couple of months really to September 2nd, we've risen 860%, or that figure has, I should say, to just under 10 billion. So from 1 billion to 9.6 billion between early June and early September. It's a value increase of 860%. Scott Lewis here. DeFi is changing very fast, and clarifying the total value locked edge cases is something that we take very seriously at DeFi Pulse. We will continue to maintain the best definition of TVL we can as DeFi grows, and eventually fully ossify when that is appropriate. Thanks. Adding to some of these questionable metrics right now, you have the fact that there's this pandemic of short-termism. There's this epidemic, I suppose, in our space, in our cryptocurrency space. A lot of people are very short-term thinkers, and it's the get-rich-quick mentality. Unfortunately, well, you look for better or worse, I guess there are arguments either way. But I would say, unfortunately, DeFi has kind of catered to that crowd, the short-termism crowd. So that's not something that's going to help really add a reputation factor to this in the long term. It's not something that's going to help sustain us over the long term. Regardless of just how big it is exactly, DeFi's growth appears to be driven by more high-powered, experienced users. Broadly speaking, DeFi users are not big institutions, but rather individuals or small groups. We call them retail, decentralized financial users, said Igor Lilik, the principal technical lead at Consensus. And for now, a lot of activity, again, for better or worse, is focused on short-term gains rather than the actual functionality or utility of the projects. But look, everybody out there, you guys in the altcoin buzz army, you probably know this already, and you're responsible. You can do with your funds what you will. Check out the rest of this article for a breakdown of why you may not want to trust that TVL, that total value locked metric, with 100% accuracy. I don't think we look at anything that way. Nothing is 100% in terms of its precision or accuracy, but there you go. You've been warned. So maintain, I suppose, a healthy dose of skepticism in any kind of fast growing space, it's kind of hard to define the edges. Things move quickly after all in cryptocurrency. Let us know your thoughts about that in the comments below. We're now discussing crypto.com. You may recall that we discussed yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, it could have been the day before, but earlier this week in any event, we discussed their effort with BCG, the Boston Consulting Group, and they released a new report on DeFi, decentralized finance. You may want to go back and revisit that, and this is kind of in the context of what we're discussing today. Of course, DeFi just ballooning in the year 2020 really is becoming, I think 2020 is the year of decentralized finance in many ways, and just because we're back down a little bit now, I don't think that takes away from the gains that we've been seeing. The report is titled The Sudden Rise of DeFi, Opportunities and Risks for Financial Services. Again, we're not going to go over it because we did so the other day, but you can check it out in the research section of crypto.com of their website. They have some other reports that you may want to take a look at as well. But just briefly, here's what the CEO of crypto.com, Chris Marcelek, had to say on the subject. Quote, "Our joint research into DeFi provides a deep dive into the reasons behind its growth, differentiators against CeFi or centralized finance, and its potential to disrupt mainstream finance. Whereas much existing research into DeFi is project specific and crypto-centric, this report leverages both crypto.com and BCG's respective area of expertise to deliver a comprehensive side-by-side comparison with incumbents in traditional finance." And this now is kind of the new buzzword that is popping up, CeFi or centralized finance. You may have heard it, you may have used it for all I know, but it's coming up more and more. And I think there's this argument that there's room for the traditional financial institutions. We don't want them to be obliterated per se, but it would be nice if they adapt. It would be nice, going back to the first story today, if the Apples of the world were to embrace a more decentralized finance kind of mindset. And of course, all of the methodologies, the infrastructure, the tools, the advantages that come along with that. So regulation and governance have given the centralized finance or CeFi industry an enormous proportion of the value generated from financial services. They are the incumbents. They've set up the existing infrastructure. This is their world that they have created, and it's slowly being chipped away at. You can see the erosion is starting to take effect. However, while DeFi may be perceived as a threat to CeFi, crypto.com and BCG's report offers a roadmap for financial service leaders to build a new generation of politically and technologically resilient financial solutions that are extremely valuable and more relevant in today's digital economy. We're also looking at crypto.com here because they are the latest to bank on DeFi hype with a Uniswap-based exchange, this here courtesy of Cointelegraph.com. So crypto.com, which is, as we know, a conglomerate dealing primarily with payments and the exchange of crypto assets, they announced their foray into decentralized finance with a platform named DeFi Swap. And according to its white paper, which was published just yesterday on Friday, DeFi Swap is a fork of the popular Uniswap decentralized exchange. And some of the differences between DeFi Swap and Uniswap appear to consist in the choice of tokens, additional geographic restrictions, and notably a yield farming incentive based on CRO, similar to what you have you may already be familiar with if you're a user of crypto.com or you're a user of the exchange. This is, of course, the token of the crypto.com chain. So users who stake the CRO token with the exchange will be entitled to a reward of additional tokens allocated daily. Higher staking amounts will entitle holders to higher yields based on a multiplier effect that increases after each year of staking. Chris Marcelek told Cointelegraph that the company, quote, "is building an entire ecosystem and DeFi products are an important part of that roadmap." He teased that a DeFi wallet is being developed as well. The company would thus follow Binance's suit of a centralized provider launching DeFi-inspired products, but unlike Binance push for its own blockchain, Crypto.com's strategy appears to be Ethereum-focused so far. Its DeFi Swap product bears some similarities with SushiSwap, another Uniswap fork that sought to attract users through an incentive scheme. And if you guys check out crypto.com, you can click on the DeFi tab, and that'll bring you here where you can learn more information about DeFi Swap, the so-called best place to swap and farm DeFi coins. Your keys, your crypto after all. So this is it's actually a brand new initiative, and we'll be discussing this more in the future. But in conclusion here, we'll say that this is their belief. We believe that it's your basic human right to control your money, data, and identity. We'll have much more on this very soon as this develops. Again, this was just announced and released yesterday, but it's a fast-moving space. That seems to be the theme of today's video. We'll have much more on this very soon. Stay tuned. Here now on altcoinbuzz.io, we have Tron partnership news. Tron has partnered with 1inch and expands its DeFi ecosystem. This article by Daniel. Tron has partnered with 1inch, integrating its JustSwap decentralized trading protocol with 1inch and Uniswap. Tron disclosed this news via an official press release, noting that the partnership with the largest DEX aggregator on Ethereum would enable liquidity providers to increase their earnings. And 1inch.exchange here on Twitter. 1inch partners with Tron for JustSwap and Uniswap integration. More information is available on medium.com. According to the blockchain firm, the partnership would enable Tron's newly launched decentralized trading protocol, JustSwap, to integrate with both 1inch and Uniswap. And Uniswap is the aggregator's very own automated market maker. Notably, the collaboration between both firms means that the Tron ecosystem has successfully secured the support of another highly regarded Ethereum DeFi product. Kudos to both parties involved in this partnership. You can read more about it here on medium.com. 1inch partners with Tron for JustSwap and Uniswap integration. And also expanding further now into DeFi and the larger decentralized finance landscape is Binance. They've introduced $100 million decentralized finance fund for so-called high-quality projects. Binance is the world's largest crypto exchange, and they're launching a $100 million seed fund in order to, quote, empower emerging initiatives in the decentralized finance space. As noted by Binance, today, September 10th, so this is from a couple days ago, Binance founder and CEO Changpeng Zhao announced the creation of a seed fund worth $100 million for DeFi during the World of DeFi Summit. This fund and other initiatives from Binance aim to further support the DeFi ecosystem and solutions to bridge DeFi and centralized finance, or CeFi, ecosystems. As we talked about earlier, it would be nice to have some of these more established players come over and adopt some of these new tools and join our ranks. That'll help the space as a whole. Binance stated, strong projects can get up to $100,000 in funding. The selection criteria will follow the same standards used for Binance X, Binance Labs, and Binance Launchpad. It also added, quote, we will provide liquidity support for DeFi projects that pass security audits and the due diligence process. Selected beneficiaries will also enjoy support from the resources we offer across the Binance ecosystem. This includes access to millions of customers, media information in the ecosystem, knowledge, education, incubation, financing, derivatives, financial management, and other comprehensive resources and financial support. High-quality projects may even have the opportunity to participate to be listed on Binance. And finally, Binance stated, quote, we want to be the proverbial bridge that connects the various highways provided by the many blockchains that already exist. Through the secure custody service of the Binance CeFi platform, tokens on other public chains can be connected to the Binance Smart Chain, including BTC, ETH, and other ERC20 tokens such as Link, USDT, DAI, and more, as well as XRP, BCH, LTC, ADA, DOT, XTZ, EOS, ONT, and others. So Binance just aggressively launching into this space, expanding the geography, and hopefully incentivizing and motivating a whole new generation of DeFi projects, or those that, perhaps already exist but are a little bit under the radar. Funding is, of course, a major consideration for teams and for ideas. I think this is going to help the space as a whole. Absolutely. I'm excited about it. Let me know if you guys are in the comments below. Let's round things out for today with a look at this piece on CryptoSlate.com. Ethereum-based DeFi tokens have averaged about a 50% loss in September. Here are the winners and the losers. Maybe perhaps I should have featured this really at the outset, but this kind of goes to show the point that we've been, I guess, hammering this whole time, is that DeFi is this dynamic, weird, mercurial kind of beast right now, where it's up, it's down, it's moving so quickly we can barely even trust the metrics. But looking at the projects themselves, here you can see that Loopring, LRC is the ticker. It's really the only winner among this list that we have here, unfortunately. On the 1st of September, it was at about 22 cents. It went down to a low of 15 cents, but as of the 10th of September is back up to 25 cents. So it's actually had a delta of, that's been positive. From the 1st of September is up 14.5%. Just about every other project, or no, I can confirm that definitively. Every other project on this list. All remaining projects other than Loopring have experienced, unfortunately, negative growth since the 1st of September, including Yearn.finance, Aave, Bitcoin, and Ethereum, the big guys as well, Chainlink, some other ones as well, Compound, Kava, some of the ones that we like to talk about, Kyber, Terra, Ren, Band, Bancor, Nexus, Curve, Meta. SushiSwap is the bottom of the list, for better or worse, whether or not you feel they deserve that, negative 64.2%. So this is unfortunate. I don't mean to end on a downer. And in fact, there's an analyst that would suggest we're going to finish September on a high note. As Crypto Slate reported yesterday, one fund manager who had long been a DeFi advocate and investor is now noting that the bull trend for these Ethereum-based tokens is likely to resume in the near term. Quote, I hope you bought the dip. September is going to be one hell of a month. We got SushiSwap versus Uniswap, Swerve versus Curve, Lend also getting listed on FTX. Just one individual's opinion, so take that as always with a grain of salt. But without getting too specific and kind of quantifying the time frame, I too am optimistic about the future. I will leave it at that. But that about wraps it up for today, everybody. Do be sure you're following us, for God's sake, on all the regular social media channels, and keep checking back into the website, altcoinbuzz.io, for all the latest. Go ahead, like, subscribe, share, and hit the bell to receive notifications, because we put out a lot of content, guys. At least one video a day, sometimes two, and occasionally 3. Best of luck if you choose to invest on this Saturday, everybody, but do enjoy your weekend. Stay safe out there, and as always, we do hope to see you again soon in our next video. Take care.